Legendary dunks, iconic plays that define careers and the fates of franchises, explosions of excellence that seem to transcend the laws of gravity and brings immortality to a player's legacy. Their full stories have all been told, except for one.
Minutes and 5 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. Kevin Johnson got a piece of it. Chambers. And the Knicks call for time.
31 years ago, Tom Chambers threw down one of the greatest game dunks in NBA history. But his full story has never been told. Until now. The story is more than just about a singular dunk. It's a story about one of the most successful franchises in NBA history, rebounding from scandals and tragedy to reclaim its winning ways. It's a story of an unheralded all-star player, frustrated playing for teams that didn't fit his style, becoming the league's first unrestricted free agent and lifting a troubled franchise back to prominence while making an iconic play that would immortalize him in NBA history. In this video, we'll revisit the 1989 game versus the Knicks and watch the dunk as it happened. We'll also take a closer look at the dunk and how it became the stuff of legend and inspired one of the most unstoppable moves in sports video game history. And we'll also see a reunion between Mark Jackson and Tom Chambers nearly 30 years later. All this and more coming up in the untold story of the dunk. The Phoenix Suns were one of the most successful expansion franchises in NBA history. Joining the league in 1968, the Suns won their very first game, and in just their second season, led by All-Star Connie Hawkins, the Suns made the playoffs, reaching the Western Conference semis. By 1976, the Suns, now led by Alvan and Paul Westphal, reached the NBA Finals, where they would play in one of the greatest NBA games ever played.
I don't believe it! Garfield heard at the buzzer! We've got a third overtime and a Boston gun!
The Suns would make the playoffs in 8 of the next 9 seasons, and they reached the 1984 Western Conference Finals led by veteran all-star sharpshooter Walter Davis and rising star Larry Nance. Though they would fall to the Showtime Lakers, the Suns' future was looking bright. But dark clouds began to form over Sun Country. First, Walter Davis went down with an injury and was later admitted to rehab for substance abuse. Then, scandal. 3 current Suns players and 2 former players were indicted on drug trafficking charges. And by 1987, the Suns were in total disarray. Tragedy then struck when former Suns guard Johnny High was killed in a car accident, followed a month later by Suns center Nick Vanos, who was killed in a Northwest Airlines Flight 255 crash in Detroit. The Suns had reached their lowest point. In 1988, the Suns began to totally rebuild their team, including trading their best player, Larry Nance, to Cleveland for Kevin Johnson, Tyrone Corbin, and center Mark West. And the Suns would continue the rebuilding process in the 1988 draft, taking Dan Marley with the 14th pick. But the Suns still needed a veteran all-star leader to fill the void left by high-flying Larry Nance. And they would look no further than to Seattle's high-flying all-star Tom Chambers. Chambers was a supremely talented big forward who used his gifted athleticism and shooting range to spread the floor, and he was also known for his vicious dunks. Chambers was nearing the peak of his career, even winning the All-Star MVP. But not all was well in Seattle. Frustrated by playing on mediocre teams and in systems that didn't fit his run-and-gun style, Chambers and the Sonics were looking to part ways. And in 1988, Chambers had had enough and wanted out. In July 1988, the Suns would sign Chambers and make him the NBA's first ever unrestricted free agent signing, and this would forever change the fortunes of the franchise and the NBA. As they headed into the 1988 preseason, the totally rebuilt Suns were predicted to fare no better than an expansion franchise. But by January 1989, the Suns had found their chemistry. Having already defeated the Lakers and the Bulls, this run-and-gun Suns team were on a roll. Spearheaded by point guard Kevin Johnson, the Suns were sitting at number 2 in the West, and they were ready to make the big jump to title contenders. The New York Knicks were one of the NBA's most storied franchises. But they too had fallen on hard times in the mid-80s when their superstar Bernard King suffered a devastating knee injury. But the Knicks would receive a big break in the NBA's first ever draft lottery, winning the rights to the number 1 pick in 1985 and taking center Patrick Ewing. But bad luck would strike again, with a rookie Ewing falling to injury. But the Knicks would again strike gold in the draft, taking point guard Mark Jackson in 1987. Now under new head coach Rick Pitino and with a healthy Ewing, the reinvigorated Knicks would make a return to relevance in 1988, with Jackson also winning Rookie of the Year honors. And by January 1989, the Knicks were legitimate contenders, sitting at number 2 in the East and ready to face off against an upstart Suns team in a showdown between the NBA's two new rising powers.
Marv Albert with John Andres, and we apologize for the technical difficulties. So we are picking up the game in progress with just under 6 minutes remaining in the second quarter, and the Phoenix Suns, one of the surprise teams in the NBA with a record of 24-14, leading the New York Knicks.
The Suns would control the first half of the game and lead by 7 at the break, but there was still no sense of what was about to transpire in the second half.
Hornacek in the backcourt, Tom Chambers up front.
The third quarter would begin with Chambers and Ewing exchanging baskets, with both of them making some outstanding plays during the period.
Jackson, and Ewing is right there.
Oh, and is he? Wow.
Here's Chambers. Basket counts, and the foul.
But the Suns would still hold on to their 7-point lead heading into the fourth, in what appeared was going to be a Suns win. But the Knicks started the fourth quarter with a furious 11-0 run behind a trapping defense, forcing the Suns into several costly turnovers and turning the game completely around.
The trap again. Here's Wilkins. Johnson back, and Wilkins provides the Knicks with a 4-point lead. 109-105.
Continuing their stifling defense, the Knicks would build their lead to 7 in what looked to be a Suns collapse after a three-pointer by Mark Jackson.
Jackson with a 3-point field goal.
But the Suns would come alive, fighting their way back into the game and closing the scoring gap to 4 on a Mark West dunk.
West getting it back.
And then it happened.
120-116. Knicks by 4. 5 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. Kevin Johnson got a piece of it. Chambers. And the Knicks call for time.
Chambers soars over Mark Jackson for that slam.
Fueled by Chambers' huge dunk, the Suns would come back to tie the game, and the Knicks would send Mark West to the free throw line with 5 seconds remaining and the score tied.
So it comes down to this one free throw for West and 5 seconds left in regulation. The game is tied at 1:30.
Oakley has to keep Chambers out.
It's Chambers. 3 seconds left.
His legs are so good and he's so alert. He's a problem.
Knicks take the timeout. 3 seconds left. The Suns lead by 2.
The Suns would go on to defeat the Knicks behind Chambers' heroics and send a message that they were back and rising from the ashes of disaster. The dunk would come to symbolize the Suns' dramatic rise, and it received national attention when it was featured in Sports Illustrated. And their return to being contenders would lead to Chambers being selected for the All-Star game just weeks later, and he would go on to become a legitimate league MVP candidate.
Who is going to be the MVP? And I know that you like Tom Chambers of Phoenix with the great year he's had.
Well, I feel that Phoenix could never be where they are today without it.
The Suns would go on to win 55 games and advance to the Western Conference Finals, where they faced off against the Lakers, capping off the greatest turnaround in league history. This Suns team would be recognized by the NBA with awards for Executive of the Year, Coach of the Year, Sixth-Man Award for Eddie Johnson, and Kevin Johnson and Tom Chambers being selected All-NBA second team. For Chambers, the long overdue recognition as one of the league's brightest stars, along with commercial endorsements, finally came as his career reached new heights. The dunk represented a phoenix rising from the ashes for both a franchise and a player. But this isn't where the story ends, for there is so much going on in this one spectacular play, so many other stories to be told, that it requires a closer look. Check out the Knicks bench reacting to the dunk. Their reaction here says it all, having just witnessed one of the great dunks of all time against their own team. And watch Kevin Johnson here staring down at Mark Jackson. You have to assume that there was a rivalry there between these two point guards trying to prove themselves. Is Kevin actually saying something to Mark as he's down? And another curiosity worth mentioning is how the play was called. The legendary Marv Albert, the voice of the NBA, called this game.
Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan!
But instead of hearing an iconic call for an iconic play, we got crickets. And this is why the Albert call for the dunk wasn't used in subsequent videos.
Kevin Johnson got a piece of it. Chambers.
In the late 80s, NBA Entertainment began producing highlight videos, and it first showcased this iconic dunk to a wider audience in dazzling dunks and basketball bloopers in 1989, followed by the hugely popular Super Slams of the NBA in 1990.
Ultimately, it is in the air where such spellbinding improvisationalists become legends, and the most storied of slam dunk fables come alive.
I think it was one when Chambers went over Mark Jackson. I mean, that was an awesome dunk.
2-on-1, KJ to Chambers, jam! Oh boy, he went right up Mark Jackson.
When he hit Mark, he was already high, but when he hit Mark, he went a little higher, and he just tore the rim down.
Inspired by the dunk, Sega Genesis would release a new Lakers vs. Celtics video game in 1990, where the Chambers player character was able to make an unstoppable double pump dunk move from as far out as the three-point line. And this was the game to play back in the day, with state-of-the-art graphics. And this unstoppable Chambers dunk would become known as the double pump dunk of doom, and one of the most unstoppable moves in sports video game history. As the years went by, the dunk legend grew, as did its rankings among the greatest dunks of all time countdowns.
Oh, get up and jiggle, baby.
Number 6, Tom Chambers on Mark Jackson.
Suns on the break again. Here is Chambers!
But it would not be until more than 20 years after the dunk that it would take its place in the pantheon of greatest dunks ever in TNT's definitive NBA Posterize.
Tonight, we settle the debate on the game's most spectacular dunk ever. But which is the most spectacular dunk ever? Can one be greater than all others?
KJ Chambers! Oh boy!
That is pure posterization right there.
He literally vaulted. It was like a pole vaulter.
But we've saved the best for last. A quartet of jams that are so good they actually defy category. Any one of them could be the greatest of all time. We call them the Famous Four, and here they come.
Oakley smacking Chambers. Threw it away. 2-on-1. KJ to Chambers. Jam!
Oh boy, he went right up Mark Jackson.
rookie with the Suns when Chambers dunked over Mark Jackson, and what made that dunk amazing was that he literally put his knee on Mark's shoulder and elevated about another foot. It was like a pole vault.
It was one of those things where I really didn't have time to try and stop and go around him. I had to just try and get myself to the rim. So I was able to do that and literally jumped over Mark Jackson. He tried to protect himself and maybe gave me even a little bit more of a boost because I know I had to kind of duck to not hit my head when I was coming down from that dunk.
Mark Jackson's thinking, I'm going to show my coach here that I'm a team guy. I'm going to take a knee in the stomach for my team, and we're going the other way. And you go, whoa! Where's that guy going?
You know, a lot of great dunks get posterized and made onto, you know, printed on a piece of paper, but this one was such a good one. Thanks to the Phoenix Suns, they bronzed it for me. Thanks to Mark Jackson and the Phoenix Suns, this one will be looked at for a long time.
And that would set the stage for this brief and entertaining reunion between Tom Chambers and Mark Jackson nearly 30 years after the dunk.
Hey, Mark Jackson! Oh, now TC's going to go after Mark Jackson, the man that he posterized. Mark is going to try to find the quickest exit. Oh, man. That is a classic time. Oh, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you. Oh, he's trying to hide. They only recognize me like this. Somebody had to be the victim.
Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, as more new Tom Chambers videos are coming. And please leave your thoughts on the greatest dunks of all time in the comment section below.